The Barry Model United Nations team attended the UMUN conference in New York this past April. UMUN is a competition to address current global issues. This competition draws participants from more than 130 UN member states annually. Model UN student president Gabe Smith explains what it's like to participate in these competitions.
The UN isn't meant to be, a highly competitive environment or an environment where you're trying to win out over other member states. So they don't give out, there's no ranking of delegations at the end of the conference. They don't call it a competition, they call it a conference. They do have a few awards for delegations, like who's best represented their member state. We submit position papers, what's known as a position paper, before the conference, which basically lays out our policy positions going in. They give out awards for best position paper, but that's the only real, objective measure of success.
Model UN simulates organizations within the United Nations. The Barry Model UN team researches and discusses issues that the UN is having. By doing this, they learn how the United Nations operates. Barry's Model UN team meets Thursdays at 5 p.m. in the Green Building. Model UN has been a part of Barry since the 2000s. During this time, Model UN has been putting its all into recreating UN scenarios and reacting to the simulated issues as best they can. Kristen Taylor, staff advisor for Model UN, explains that there is a lot of work that goes into prep.
Once we have established the countries that students are representing and the UN committees that they're on, then they start researching the agenda items that have been selected by the conferences we attend. They start researching those agenda topics and writing position papers to articulate the country they're simulating, that country's position on topics. And so there's a lot of research involved, but then we also practice how to operate in committee. So we work on rules of procedure, and we do that by having a lot of different mock sessions, we call them. And they learn how to do the work of committee, which involves writing United Nations resolutions.
Model UN student officer Tyler Anderson explains how participants learn a lot about the United Nations while having a great time in the process.
You meet a lot of really cool people, I think, doing it. In New York especially, it's an international conference. So you meet people from all over the world, which is really interesting. But you also learn a lot about international politics in doing it, because you may be given a country you didn't know represented, or you may be a country where you think you know what they stand for and their values are, and you have to dig into it. And when you're prepping for these things, you can't just learn what your country stands for. You gotta figure out who you want to talk to, who's gonna be on your side, things like that. So you have to learn a lot about regional groups and other nations as a whole, and kind of know how to interact, how to work with them, what's going to make them happy, what's going to get them kind of on your side, things like that.
With Viking Fusion News, I'm Anna Rich.